9 ways to save money as a detailer.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
And this is the DIY Detail Podcast. Today we're going to go over 9 strategies to help you save money as a detailer, but also as a hobbyist detailer. Detailing can be expensive, and we know that owning a vehicle these days isn't exactly cheap. So we want to make it as more enjoyable as possible, but at the same time, saving you a bit of money so you can make it even more enjoyable for yourself.
Ivan, we have so many things to talk about here. I don't even want to make this about DIY detail on the first one. Let's talk about a pressure washer. Because people are going to be tempted to go out there and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a pressure washer. We're talking to a beginning mobile detailer. We're talking to an enthusiast at home. There's so many things you could buy, and getting a nice pressure washer seems to be like a must.
A must? Not really. Is it nice to have a pressure washer? Definitely. Can you get by without one? Of course you can. I know a lot of shops that don't have a pressure washer, and they're doing Ferraris and Lamborghinis and very high-end cars, and they simply don't see the need for one. That being said, you can do a great job if you want to foam, because to me, that's the only real reason to have a pressure washer is you want to foam, or you want to save water because a pressure washer uses less water. But that being said, you want to use a foam cannon. You don't have to go out and buy $1,000 pressure washer for that. You can go to the local big box store, whatever pressure washer they have on sale that's electric. They'll give you at least 1,000 PSI and at least 1 gallon per minute will definitely do the job. And a lot of people have been, quote unquote, getting by for many, many years with pressure washers like that without an issue. A lot of mobile detailers, one of the industry favorites is the Ryobi pressure washer. Price ranges between $100 and $150, depending if they're on sale, not on sale. And they do a great job.
It's one of these where it's nice to have all the nice tools, but you can get the job done with basics in the pressure washer department.
Yeah.
And there's also nice tools that do make life really nice. They're expensive. People buy them for a reason. But the next tip we have in terms of spending money is about like when you see a need, then get the tool. Don't get the tool anticipating that you're going to need it. What did you mean by that, Ivan? Because we went through a list of these before the podcast.
So basically, a lot of detailers overthink. And they overthink to the point of paralyzing themselves. So it's like, oh, I can't start detailing until I have this, and I can't start detailing until I have that, and I can't start detailing until I have that. Just start. And when you see a need, then when you get it. There's some detailers out there that they rarely touch the interior of a car. Yet in the corner of their shop, they have an extractor, they have a steamer, they have all sorts of tools for interiors that they rarely use. If you're maintaining your own vehicle and you're not doing this as a business, you really don't need an extractor and you really don't need a steamer. Get something for the kids instead. Get yourself a pressure washer or upgrade your pressure washer. But at the same time, the steamer and the extractor to me are very much optional tools to have. They're not something you need to get started. They're something you can definitely get by without an issue.
So you think you should literally like try to make it through a tough detail and fully feel and experience the need and the lack of that tool, and then decide, okay, I never want to happen again. I'm going to get the tool versus plan for it and buy the expensive tool first?
Some people that plan and buy for it first end up never using it. So unless you actually have a need for it, you don't need it. Don't get it. Don't waste your money. And the other thing is you can go to a rental center, and most towns have one, or even the grocery stores rent them, and you can rent an extractor. So if it's something you're only doing once, there's no point going out and spending $1,000 on a tool that you're going to use once a year. You can rent one.
So those are a couple of big things on a lot of people's mind, because everyone's going to want to buy the nice tools and the pressure washers. Let's get to some of the things that are going to save you money when you're actually on the job. And one of those is, a shameless plug here, Ivan, rinse less wash.
Yeah, using Rinseless wash, it will reduce the number of chemicals you need to do a job, because your Rinseless wash is your interior cleaner. Your Rinseless wash is your glass cleaner. Your Rinseless wash is your pad cleaner. Your Rinseless wash is, of course, to wash the outside of the vehicle and for wheels and tires and all sorts of things. If you're maintaining your car on a regular basis, so someone who washes their car every 1 or 2 weeks, probably will never need anything other than rinseless wash to do the cleaning portion of their vehicle. And by using a rinseless wash, you reduce the need for a pressure washer because you're not foaming. So there's a lot of advantages to using a rinseless wash, and it's extremely economical. You buy a gallon, it gives you 257 gallons of usable product because it's a 256 to 1 dilution ratio.
That's incredible. And again, the foam rinse foam is what we use with a pressure washer and a foam cannon, but the same principles apply with rinseless wash. So it's rinseless wash on the surface, flush it with water, rinseless wash again, contact wash. And then if you're just going to go ahead and protect after that, you just wipe, and that's its own drying aid, or you could use NV ceramic sealant. There's different ways to do it with a hose, without a hose. But rinseless wash, you're saying, will save you money?
It'll save you money because if you have rinseless wash, you don't need a pad cleaner or a pad cleaning solution. You don't need a clay lube. You don't need a drying aid. You don't need a interior cleaner. You don't need a glass cleaner. It does all of that and more. Some people actually use it as a windshield washer fluid, just to give you an idea, as long as it doesn't freeze.
Why would we? Yeah, as long as you're above 32 degrees Fahrenheit, you're good on that. Why would we sell a product, Ivan, that would replace all those other products if we're a company interested in profits and making money? Because we have all those other products.
Our mission from day one has been education first. And our marketing strategy is very simple. It's out there. We've told many, many people, we're going to provide education. If they like the education, they might buy the products. And so far, it's been working for us. But that's our focus. And yes, we could have a dedicated wheel cleaner and a dedicated tire cleaner, a dedicated caliper cleaner for all that.
Oh,
it's really not. Yeah. If we're going to overthink, or even a lug nut cleaner, but there's no need for all of that. The dirt on your wheel is the same dirt that's on your tire, and it's also the same dirt that's on the rocker panel right behind the wheel and tire combination.
So you want to invest in rinseless wash and just let it work for you, because that will save you a lot of money on useless products. And the next item on this list is stop buying useless crap.
Yeah.
What's under that umbrella? I want to know, what is the useless crap that I don't need to buy? Save me some money today.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and I'll use TikTok Shop as a scapegoat here. There's a lot of things that we see on TikTok that, oh, wow, that looks really good, and influencers are pushing it, and they're saying it's great, et cetera, et cetera. And then you try it and go, not really sure. And then you have, what I've always called the Pan the Organizer shelf. So Pan's got this shelf just loaded with all sorts of different products that he's testing. And that's what he does, though. And if you're a hobbyist at home, or even worse, a professional detailer, as a hobbyist, you can have the shelf testing all sorts of different things. As a professional detailer, you want to streamline as much as possible. That way your employees don't have to make decisions. But I see, I went to Rad Garage. So we all know Rick from Rad Garage. Great channel. If you haven't seen his channel, you deserve it. But Rick has a collection. And when I say a collection, he has at least 30 or 40 of them lined up on the wall, the little brushes to make foam on the interior. So little detailing brushes. He's got a beautiful line of them set up. You don't need all of those. And he's the first one to say he doesn't need all those. He just likes the look of them, and they look nice on his wall. But that sort of thing. Or we mentioned before, clay lube. There's a lot of things you can use as a clay lube before buying a clay lube. There's a lot of things we mentioned as a joke, a caliper cleaner. I'm sure at some point someone will have a chemical for cleaning calipers, but it's not necessary. So evaluate, use a bit of logic to say, okay, wait a minute. Do I really need that? And a lot of the times the answer is no.
Here's the thing. It's fun to buy new products, but it sucks to spend money that you don't want to spend. So it's like we're aware that both things can be true at once, that you like buying all the products, but like, I don't know, 60, 70 bucks, you try a few products and like, did I really need that? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like when you find products that work, just use them. I mean, rinseless wash, NV ceramic detail spray, a drying blanket, a legacy sponge, like just get these basics working for you. Some all clean, the right brushes. And like, if I were doing this professionally day in and day out for money and my family depended on those details, I would not be picking a la carte at opening this shelf. Ooh, am I going to use this today or open? But it's fun. I do that too, Ivan. But I'm like, I can't imagine how that would just kill productivity and my wallet if I had to pay for these. I mean, because a lot of these were freebies to me.
Yes, exactly. And there's a lot of things in this industry that cost a lot of money, and people have too many of them. You mentioned a detail spray. How many detail sprays are on the market? I have no idea. It's hundreds. And there are some people that probably have all 100 of them or 200 of them or whatever.
I've got Nick at Night over on the House of Rags. It's a podcast on the House of Rags YouTube channel. And I was at Eddie's Garage in Pocatello recently, and he handed me a few products. One of them I really liked. It's not our product. That's great. And the other one, he's like, you really got to try this. And it was a detail spray, and it like smelled nice. And I was using it. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then the water beads like weren't as good as I get with Envy. And I was like, why would I use what is the purpose of this detail spray when I can get protection? Anyways, there's a lot of things you could buy out there that might seem fun at first, and then it's like, wow, why do I need this?
And I'll go back in history a little bit here, but in the 80s and 90s, there were waxes that cost $1,000 for a little tin of it, and people were paying that. And a wax, whether it's a $5 wax or a $500 wax, is going to last as long as a wax lasts, which is a couple months. So, don't get stuck in with all these overly overpriced, overhyped products. One that we see a lot, and if you look at the cost per use, it's very, very bad. And these are all not multi-level marketing, but only available on Facebook or only available on TikTok, like the F11, like the Maxel, the Rubbit of this world. There's one channel that did a test of Rubbit, and then he did Incredible Suds. The Rubbit was diluted, I think 20 to 1 or something like that. And he diluted Incredible Suds 1,000 to 1 and got the same results, or actually got better results. So it goes to show you that looking at the concentration of a product and how it's used, so cost per use, and that is something where a lot of people, they think they're saving money by buying something that's less expensive, but in reality, it's costing them more. An example, I'll stay with Incredible Suds. In a bucket has a dilution ratio of 1,000 to 1, and very easy to calculate. Take 4 gallons, put in half an ounce. That's your 4,000 to 1 or 1,000 to 1 dilution ratio. So 4 gallons to 1 ounce of Incredible Suds. Half an ounce of Incredible Suds. That's all you need. You don't need any more than that. And putting more in, this is another money-saving tip. Follow the instructions. Use just what you need to use. Don't do the glug-glug method. Don't go, well, if one spray is good, 500 must be better. No, but anyways, look at the cost of not only purchasing the product, but using the product. I had someone reach out to me recently. They were buying a soap off the shelf at the parts store. And they said, well, yours is like 3 times the price of this one. I can buy 3 gallons of that for one of yours. Why should I use yours? Very simple. In the foam cannon, we put in 1 ounce. They were putting in 6 ounces in the foam cannon. In the bucket, we're putting in half an ounce. They were putting in 4 ounces in the bucket. So to do one wash, they were going through 10 ounces of product. To do that same wash, we go through 1.5 ounces. So
you don't mess around with using a really, really efficient, tight ship in terms of products, Ivan. Like, you don't like wasting products. No. You don't like wasting money. It's a pretty, from A to Z, this is how you are. So it's like, Incredible Suds might seem like a fat price tag when you get it, or iron remover, but when you look at cost per use, it's very economical. How do you get people to believe that, though? Because they're going to see the price tag and be like, nope, that's too much. These guys are ripping us off.
Iron remover, great example. Other than a ceramic coating, it's the most expensive chemical in most companies' lines, including ours. And the way we teach to use iron remover, you're using 1 ounce or less per vehicle. And a lot of companies, they tell you you can dilute their iron remover, let's say 1 to 1. And you can dilute ours 1 to 1 as well if you're using it as a spray and rinse off product. If you're using it as a spray and rinse off product, go ahead and dilute it. But If you're using it the way we teach, which is as a lubricant for the decontamination towel, now you're only using a very minimal amount. So you're only using 1 ounce. And if we use simple math here, let's say a gallon cost you $120, so $1 an ounce. Well, if you're using 12 ounces, which is what most people, if they're spraying on, will use between 10 and 12 ounces, we'll say 10, it costs you $10 to do an iron remover treatment on that vehicle. With ours, it costs you $1 because you're only using 1 ounce. Therefore, even if ours was 10 times the price of the other one, it works out being the same. And ours is not 10 times the price of anybody else's. It's usually maybe, equivalent or 10, 15, maybe 20% more. There are some really cheap ones on the market, but again, you get what you pay for. And speaking of cheap ones on the market, using cheap chemicals, and not by inexpensive, I mean cheap by just poor quality chemicals, it's costing you money. Because again, the dilution ratios are horrible, but also you can damage something. And our iron remover, it can dry on the surface in direct sunlight and it will rinse away. Our soap, same thing. Our all clean, our all-purpose cleaner, same thing. Our water spot remover, same thing. We've made them all safe to be used in the sun because we know that people, not everyone has a garage. Not everyone, has a perfect 70-degree day. There are hot days, there are cold days, there are sunny days, there are rainy days. It's everywhere. And with that, our chemicals are safe to use. We have this great Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook, look up DIY Detail. We have a group. We're almost at 60,000 people. We're like 100 people away from 60,000 now. So, that's going to be a good thing soon. So we'll hit that milestone. But at the same time, we get questions all the time because it's not just a DIY detail related group. It's, detailing specific or open to anyone. And with that, we get questions like, I sprayed this on the product, the car, it dried and it's leaving streaks now. It's doing this, that, the other thing. Again, cheap chemicals, you get the results you paid for.
100%. One way you think you could save money is, we were talking about this earlier, you don't need DI water. And I'm guessing that means you don't need distilled water either. Talk about water softness, water hardness, because I know I don't want to leave water spots on a customer's paint. So that's why I would get DI water. Tell me about the pros and cons and how this could save you a lot of money.
Well, first of all, a DI system is expensive and the resin that goes in it, or if you're renting tanks, is not cheap either. So in the shop that's behind Nick there, we have a TDS, or total dissolved solids, of 500 parts per million. And that's very, very high. Distilled water, treated water, RO water brings you down to hopefully close to zero. There's really no need for that if you have proper drying technique. Because the only way you're going to get water spots is if you let that high TDS water dry in the surface in the sun. We're not letting it dry in the sun. We don't need an RO system. I've been to shops doing my shop audits that they wash every car indoors. They have no need whatsoever for an RO system. The only time you would desire a system like that is if you don't dry the cars. Basically, you hose them off and you let them air dry. So if you're doing large vehicles like trucks, RVs, where you don't want to be up and down a ladder with a towel, then that makes sense. But for washing cars, it's never made sense to me.
But what about you're at a customer's house, you're using their water, and water spots are appearing as soon as it just flashes on the paint? It's just like so quickly. It's a roasty, hot summer day, Ivan.
Then wash with Rinseless. Problem solved.
And how do you do that?
You dilute your Rinseless 256-1 in your bucket, and that's what you wash with. So instead of the water on the surface, you have Rinseless, and you don't have water spots. You have Rinseless or polymer spots, because our Rinseless is a hybrid surfactant and polymer. And those polymers encapsulate those total dissolved solids and making them easy to wipe away with either your drying towel or using something like Envy.
So you spray it on, but you still have to rinse with the hose water, right?
Yeah, which is fine, because with a rinseless wash, you're not rinsing as your final step. You're rinsing as an intermediate step. So if you have a lot of accumulation on the vehicle, you're going to be putting it on, rinsing it off, then reapplying the rinseless wash, and then you're drying with the rinseless wash on the surface. So you don't have to worry about water drying on the surface because you're drying rinseless on the surface. And with the rinseless wash, you can actually wash panel by panel if you wanted to.
All right, so DI water's out. That's going to save me some money on my list here. This is a common sense one, not so common, right? As it sometimes is. Don't overuse products. What's the number one Ivan advice? Like, what's the product that people are overusing the most?
Soap is one that people overuse a lot of because they don't read the instructions, or they just do the glug glug method, which is open the bottle, pour it in the bucket. A lot of times the bucket doesn't need that much soap. In our case, like we mentioned before, for 4 gallons of water, you need half an ounce of soap. That's not a lot of soap, and that's all you really need. More is not going to give you.
You know, more is not going to give you a better result. I agree with you. It may look different, which could be more fun. I glug into the foam cannon if it's a product I know. If it's a product I don't, I follow the very specific instructions.
Yeah.
And there is waste there. But I am not a glugger into the bucket anymore, Ivan. I think that's totally a waste, right?
Yeah, definitely a waste. The other thing is with ceramic detail sprays. I see people do this every day, and I saw a video earlier today that the person was doing this. You spray on the panel, that's great, and then you spray on the towel. Why are you spraying the towel? There's no need whatsoever to spray that product on a towel. You want it on your paint, you don't want it in your towel because it's going to clog your towel, and it's not doing anything for you when you're spraying it on the towel. And the other thing is just spraying too much on. Spraying 1 spray, 2 maybe, that's all you really need. I've seen people douse a whole panel with drying aid. It just makes the drying harder at that point.
Aren't you priming your towel, Ivan? Aren't you adding more lubrication?
No. You're damaging your towel. So you've got the product on the surface. You've got a bit of moisture in your towel from drying the car. That's all you need.
Even overusing products, like I use more tire lotion than you do. And sometimes I noticed on trim on a video I was editing, I didn't even see it when we did this. This was like back in October, but I was editing it today. And I noticed that I went over a section of trim, which tire lotion is great on trim, but because I was doing my 8 sprays of tire lotion on my brush, it did leave a little bit of a streak. And you literally came by without a towel, just with the same brush you were using to do trim on your side, and you evened it out. So it was like a realization that in real time, I had to see it literally in the edit, not even in person, to be like, wow, overusing product is actually a waste. Like you didn't have to do a leveling wipe. You just had the right amount on your tire lotion brush. You spray a lot less on your tire lotion brush every time. And I'm like, I kind of jokingly always spray 8 sprays. So what do you do for your tire? How many sprays of tire lotion on your brush?
The first time I'm using it that day, 3 or 4 sprays. And then after that, 1 or 2 per tire, depending on the size of the tire.
And you get great results, right?
Yeah.
All right, Ivan. So I'm learning, right? We really want you to use less product. It actually gives you more efficiency. Are there any other times where people use too much product? Like I'm thinking about glass cleaning, but that's not really a big money. I mean, you're not losing a lot of money using too much product on glass cleaning, are you?
All these little pennies add up, Nick. And yes, you are using a lot of product. So reduce your product usage and find what's a good balance for you. And sometimes people might be using 4, 5, 6 times more than what they actually need. And they'll find that by reducing the amount of product they use, they actually do a better job. So that's, like you mentioned with the tire dressing, less actually gave you a better job.
It's worth at least trying this, folks. Just try it. I mean, see if this actually helps you. Another way to save money is reuse your ceramic coating towel. So we have a leveling towel. It's the level 1. We have the Freebird 400. We have our red applicators, Ivan. We put ceramic coating on there, and if you don't do anything with those towels or that applicator, they might become hydrophobic, where you try to use them and they're just rejecting water, like the paint that they ceramic coated. Yeah. And what we suggest is you soak the towels after. You soak them in your Rinseless or Incredible Suds bucket. And then you can reuse them. Right.
And if you watch our videos, the towels that we use as leveling towels probably have done 20 or 30 cars before the time you see it on a video. And we keep reusing the same towels because there's no need. This is something that has bothered me about this industry for many, many years now is, when you do ceramic coating, you have to throw the towels away. No. Just as soon as you're done leveling, as soon as you're done with your applicator, throw it in your wash bucket. Every ceramic coating company will tell you don't wash the car for X number of days. The reason for that is surfactants, because surfactants can damage the curing of the coating or stop that cross-linking or slow it down. What's in our wash bucket? Surfactants. Same thing. So as soon as we put them in there, the coating stops cross-linking because we're just flooding it with surfactants. So they stop cross-linking and the coating doesn't adhere to the towel. Now, if you let your towel sit for a couple hours, of course, you've screwed it up. But as soon as you're done applying with your applicator and your leveling towels, throw them in your wash bucket for 15, 20 minutes, rinse them out, and they're fine. You can reuse them many, many times without any issue, without any damage.
One thing I think folks ought to be reusing is their pads, where
Yes.
we have a pad washing system. We wash with rinseless wash. We spin the pad out, and we use one pad to polish the entire vehicle. Whereas a lot of guys and gals out there are using 15 pads. They're using compressed air. So one way to save money on pads, because pads aren't cheap these days, is to use our method. Do you have any thoughts, Ivan?
Yeah, proper pad management. And our method was developed from me running 20-some shops. And in those 20 shops, we didn't go through a lot of pads because we used them effectively. We managed our pads. And by managing, there's a couple things you can do. First of all, clean your pads. And when you're cleaning your pads, use rinseless wash. Please, please do not use compressed air and do not use a pressure washer to clean your pads. Every time you do that, you're damaging your pads, because those little foam bubbles are held together with little thin membranes, compressed air or compressed water going in there. Basically what it does is blows those membranes apart. So your pads won't last as long. The other thing is, by cleaning your pad, you're extending the life of your pad, because what we're doing, we're never getting our pads warm. We're never getting them hot because we're starting with a cool pad. We're not using any pressure on the polisher. We're not creating heat on the paint, and we're not creating heat in the pad. And that is something that a lot of people that argue for I have to use 10 or 15 pads, it's, for heat management. We never get the pad warm. There's no heat to manage because we don't create it in the first place. So they're trying to cure the symptoms. We're actually curing the disease. And that's, one way of looking at it is, if you don't create the heat to begin with, you don't have heat to manage. And by having a clean pad, your pad isn't creating as much heat because now the pores are open. The air can circulate through the pores. And we start with a clean, damp pad. It's not wet, it's just damp. And that dampness helps cool it down. So little things like that. But easily we can do 10 cars with one pad instead of 10 pads for one car. And that really adds up.
Damp with water, this damp pad you speak of, Ivan?
Rinseless, of course.
So that's just another reason to try rinseless. You don't have to do all these methods. You're a sovereign human, but try a couple of them, right? Get yourself some rinseless wash. Maybe stop overusing. Is there another way they can save money, Ivan? We might be at 8. We might be at 9 reasons. We might be at 12. But if there's one thing about you, Ivan, you always like to go above and beyond. So what other money-saving tips do you have for detailers out there?
Wash your car more often. By washing it more often, you're not going to have to use as many chemicals. You're not going to have to work as hard. It's going to be a lot easier for you to do it, and a lot more fun too. And you're going to save not only money, you're going to save time. So washing your car once a week over 4 weeks will take you less time than washing it once a month, just once, because of that. And also organize yourself. So by being organized, you don't lose stuff. And some people lose things because I forgot where that is, so they have to go and buy another one. Be organized. Know where your stuff is, how to get it, where it is, where it should be, put it away where it is, and you won't waste time looking for it, but at the same time, it'll be a lot simpler for you. And one final thing is, a lot of products exist because of people overthinking. And, one of those is wheel cleaners and tire cleaners. Just use one. You don't need a separate wheel cleaner to a tire cleaner. That's not something you need to do. And finally, with tires especially, don't over clean them. And that's something a lot of people do, is they over clean their tires. They're actually damaging their tires when they do that. But with wheels and tires, if you're washing your car on a regular basis, you don't even need all clean for them. Your Incredible Suds or your Rinseless wash is all you need to clean your wheels and tires. But if you're doing it every month or so, then yes, all clean, maybe a bit of iron remover, depending on the accumulation of brake dust. You might need to add that to your regime, but you don't need to add a specific wheel cleaner, a specific tire cleaner, and which company is going to be the first one to come out with a caliper cleaner. But yeah, so someone will, because people overthink stuff. And it's like, okay, well, my caliper, do I need a special cleaner for that? And then they look on, the internet and go, caliper cleaner. And then all of a sudden a product will pop up to clean calipers. You don't need that.
Agreed. Agreed. And I think that's just so wise to remember the basics are where you start. You don't even need the dang pressure washer. See how it goes with some rinseless wash and a bucket and a legacy sponge, bottle of Envy and a drying blanket. Like, try it first and then see what you need. Make upgrades as you go. Rome wasn't built in a day, Ivan. We know that much.
No, it wasn't. And look, it's lasted a long time. So take your time, do a good job, build a strong foundation in your detailing routine, and you'll have more fun doing it. It's going to last a lot longer, and you'll enjoy it more.
We have a deep dive, clinical, in-depth how-to on how to deep clean your tires. We talked about it, Ivan. Let's show it to him. That video.
Right there.